Welcome to the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Insightful and witty commentary, probing interviews, and detours from the beaten path.
Every once in a while, we have to bring out the big dog.
Yeah.
Oh, God help us. It's time for Danny Unleashed. Sponsored by Easton Roofing, where integrity matters. Go to eastonroofing.com for more.
Let that play for a little bit. One of my favorites. Mentioned the passing of Eddie Van Halen. Was that about a week ago, or is that longer?
A little more than a week ago. Yeah.
A little more than a week ago. Okay.
Actually,
it is the program here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. You heard Danny Clinkscale from DannyClinkscale.com. He is brought to you very proudly by our friends at Easton Roofing. You can call Easton Roofing today at 913-257-5426. My mom is thinking she's going to have to call Easton Roofing here pretty soon. Said, I was walking. She says, it's been a while with our roof. I don't know why it was our roof, but that's how she called it. Anyway, and she said the folks at Easton did a house just a few doors down, and it's beautiful. They did a fantastic job. I want a roof just like that. I said, okay. She said, do you have a number for them? Yeah, I do, Mom. 913-257-5426. You can see them online at eastonroofing.com. Voted Best of Houses Award winner 4 straight years. They're an Angie's List Super Service Award winner as well. No payment collected until you're 100% satisfied. And if you check out their Google reviews, you'll see that's what you have. 100% satisfied customers. Joe and his team are fantastic. Great local business and growing and growing and growing. Why? Because they do great work. So call Taylor or Kaylee in the office right now, 913-257-5426. They'll get the process rolling anywhere in the metro, including Lawrence and Topeka. Danny, how are you, my friend?
Just fine, as you'll see in Curtis's social media Twitter tweet. So that was well said. I am sporting a Easton Roofing hoodie today.
Good looking.
Oh, really?
Yeah, brand new. Just got it the other day.
Maybe I was going to get a hoodie when I had some Coronas with one Joe Spiker, except he ditched me.
Oh, really? He just got
we were
these. We
were gonna have a couple of beers on the patio on Thursday, and we had the perfect day for it. Right, we had it all worked out, but he was getting crushed with the allergies. He's like, I'm getting destroyed here. I said I'm all stopped up, and I think he had a bunch of work come up too. And he's like, all right, you're gonna have to do a rain check. I said, okay.
I'm sure you will get the hoodie, but they run a little small, so whatever the biggest one is, get it.
7X. 7X.
I guess.
7X.
Yeah, I usually wear a medium, and I've got a large, and it fits fine, but it's almost on the slightly small side. So.
Okay. I'm trying to be less of a man these days, Danny. Okay. I've adopted kind of a Danny approach to life. One, like I don't run. Like I know you used to run, and now you do the elliptical since you blew out your patella and everything. But I am adamant about getting my exercise in, and I just don't eat sometimes.
Wow.
Right? Kind of a Danny approach to things. I'm down 22.
That's nice. That's nice.
There you go.
Very good.
Only 350 more to go. So I'll be.
Yeah, I just eat lunch. That's been my plan for a while now. So.
Yeah. Your array of figs and various cheeses. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. Let's where do you want to start, Danny? I like to see if you've got something you're all fired up about. I've got a couple of topics here, but if you've got something, I don't want to stand in your way.
Nothing that that I'm picking lint or have a bone to pick or any of those picks. So
picking lint, I like it.
Yeah. Oh, I've got a little bit of a lint pick here.
Okay.
Very first throw of the game last week for Patrick Mahomes. He's in the shotgun, gets the shotgun snap, got some pressure coming up the middle, fires over the middle, sidearm for no reason. I think that's an issue still. I think that any off-program throw should be the result of duress, not just for fun. I know he can do it. I know it's cool. But job one, plan A, should be a standard issue over-the-top throw. There's some lint pick.
So now you sent me scrambling here to my iPad.
I think
go look at it.
I think it was the first throw, but it was one of the first throws of the game, and it was sidearm because I tweeted it out. So, you just that's supposed to be an ad lib, not when the script has been written and there's no reason to toss aside said script.
Right.
So.
Scores. You think it was the first of the game?
First, it was early. It was I think it was the first throw, but it was first series, I do believe. I think it was.
Because I'm willing to say, like, sight unseen, that you're wrong, and that let's go condensed, and that there was some kind of pressure that required him to do it.
Well, in my purview, and they did show a shot from behind, I thought actually the better idea, even in the situation, was to throw it over the top because there was some pressure. So anyway, but that's right. I think this is more of a general comment than.
So are you saying he's hot dogging it, or
I'm just saying he's kind of
bad fundamentals,
he's kind
or
of fallen into a pattern where he can do it, and I think he likes doing it. I think it's a fun way to throw the football, but I just think he's just overdoing it a little bit to me. That's all. And I think it's an easy pattern to fall into because he's so talented, and he does roll out a lot, and he does break the pocket a lot. So there are a lot of times when it is an appropriate thing to do, a better way to throw the football for him. But if he's just standing there in the pocket, stand tall and deliver, son.
The Chiefs are about ready to get the ball here, so I'll have my answer to you shortly.
Okay.
You're sure it was the first possession?
I'm not 100% sure, but I think so.
Oh, look at him backpedal. Look at him backpedal.
No, I think it was the very first throw of the game, but I'm not. I think it was the one. I think it was play to Kelsey over the middle that was maybe a little high. I'm not positive. Not positive.
Yeah, he did have one of those. All right, I'm watching. All right, we're running first down. Edwards-Hilaire, nice little run to the left side. Second.
Maybe I should have told you this before.
I'm seeing second and 2. Yeah, overthrow. 2nd and 2 on that first drive at 12:35.
Okay.
And I'm trying to see a replay. It looked like he did throw a little sidearm, overthrew him across the middle.
Right.
I think they must be picking up they got the first. So I'm 2 plays away, and then I can tell you.
There was a guy coming in on him.
There was,
but he didn't have his arms up.
Nope.
Wiley got beat by 90. Looked like.
Well, you don't think he could have put his arms up, and maybe that's what he was anticipating? There it is.
That's potentially, yes. This is more, like I said, that's a specific example of a more general issue. That's
okay.
all.
I just saw the play.
Right.
The replay you can see that 90 got was on him.
Yeah, well, I didn't go. I didn't go for the whole thing.
Maybe he was expecting them to get his arms up.
Okay, that's a nitpick. I'll take it. That's a nitpick. You can have that. I have none when it comes to 15. And you know what? I'll go a step further. I'm getting tired of everybody, and I know I actually laid it out there for you, so I'm not talking about you, Danny.
Right.
But I'm getting tired of everybody wanting to find some kind of flaw in what he does.
I mean, like I said, this is the nittiest of nitpicks. Anything to do with him is a nitpick because, if nobody's perfect, I just don't. He admits, for instance, that at times he falls into that habit of drifting, and I think this is another potential habit that he might end up saying, I got to get back to throwing the ball fundamentally sound. Because I remember in the first training camp, they were working on his footwork and that type of stuff all the time with Mike Kafka, and so I think there's a general tendency because he's so talented and has so much arm talent that it's possible for him to get lazy and. He's still lazy. Mahomes is still the best, but you just want to see the guy, on point, playing at his absolute peak.
But isn't there a little bit of why? Okay, number one, do we assume that Mike Kafka and Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy have got it covered?
Sure.
Okay,
but within the context of a game, however, I just think. You're probably going to let the guy roll, as Andy Reid would say, a little bit during the course of a game because, hey, 9 times out of 10, not in this case, but 9 times out of 10, 95 times out of 100, whatever arm angle choice he makes, the ball's going to be delivered.
Right. But my point just is I still hear, it's kind of like when we used to be doing pre and post on Royals stuff, like the Sweeney days. And everyone wanted to call in and bitch about Sweeney's strikeout. He had 2 home runs, but he struck out in the 8th. And, they lost 4-3, and somehow it was his fault for not hitting a 3rd home run. You know what I mean? I am sensing a little bit of that. Like, number one, everybody is begging anyone to be the MVP but him. Right? Like, I get, like, when LeBron said, come on, 16 votes, right, for MVP, and everyone like, oh, my God, LeBron's worried, he's crying about the MVP vote. Yeah, but he's right. Like, between him and it should have been like 51-49. Right? And so, but the thing is, everybody wants anybody but LeBron. And Jordan faced that as well. And we heard that in The Last Dance where he talked, how he wanted to kick Barkley's ass that year in the finals because Barkley had been voted the MVP. And
well, there's always going to be naturally a certain fatigue of the best person because he's constantly going to be praised and people are generally going to get tired. Think of how tired Royals fans got of hearing about Madison Bumgarner. And as Curtis even recently again tweeted out, I've been doing this for 6 years, what were they supposed to say about him?
How would
it was
you
the
describe
greatest
that?
performance in World Series pitching history, probably. So what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to say it's amazing, which it was. But Royals fans are like, oh, shut up.
Yeah, but that's the opposite. Right? He was getting the praise he deserved.
Right. I'm just saying there's a weariness that people, he was getting all this praise and the Royals fans were sick of it.
Right, and I got it, but I'm saying, like, right now, that's not what's occurring. It's nitpick time. And it's like Russell Wilson's the guy, right? And listen, there's a whole other wave with Russell Wilson because he's never even gotten one MVP vote.
Right.
And so the NFL media is pulling their head out of their ass here and trying to right a wrong from years past. So he's barring, them falling apart, he's going to win the MVP. That's what I believe. Barring him getting hurt or falling apart. And he may actually deserve it. And I'm fine. He's one of the only quarterback that I'll listen to anybody Rodgers now that he's back on his game.
Well, it's possible to fade. I mean, about 2/3 of the way through the season last year, Drew Brees seemed like an absolute shoo-in for the MVP. And I
think you're thinking of 2 years ago.
Maybe was it 2 years ago?
Last year he was hurt.
It was 2 years. Yeah, it was 2 years ago. 2 years ago, and he was just humming along, and it was like certain he was going to win the MVP. And then he had a couple of big primetime games where they scored 10 points or something, and he faded away and lost it to Mahomes in the end. So that's a better example. But so there is still time for somebody to lose it. But I agree. I think they figure, and I think I heard you say this yesterday, that Mahomes is going to win 6, 7 of them anyway, and maybe Russell Wilson, this is his best shot. And he certainly played well enough so far to deserve it.
Well, I just think that we watch these games like they're video games, and we forget the unbelievable athleticism that's going on out there on the field. And, like, particularly at the quarterback spot, it's like, oh, how did he miss that throw? Well, number one, jackass, you, just 2 of us standing out there, couldn't make that throw if nobody else was on the field. He has 11 guys flying all around him in close proximity. He has a linebacker leaping underneath, a safety closing from behind, and a corner draped on the guy's shoulder. I think we watch and we consume so much football, and these guys are so freaking good that we lose sight of what the incredible skill level that's being
and we see most
displayed.
We see most of the plays from above, where it's much more easy, and even the Madden view is above.
Yes,
and these guys are at eye level, and many of the players in the field are taller than them, including all 10 linemen. Oftentimes, now in Mahomes' case, oftentimes other quarterbacks who are 6'6" or taller. Maybe taller, but anyway, there's a mass of humanity in between there. I mean, when you're watching a play from above, you're like, look at the wide. He's all by himself. Well, there's 4 guys in various different phases in between, the quarterback and his target at that point. So, so many times the quarterback has to throw a ball that goes up and comes down within, sort of like a tennis shot, basically. He has to have it go above a linebacker and then come down so it doesn't soar over the receiver's head and fly into a safety's belly behind him. So, it's incredible what they do. But we are spoiled because the passing game has become so intricate. I was given another slap in the face reality of this when they were talking the other day. I was watching a show, and they were talking about how Tua now has the job from Fitzmagic, and he's completing this year 70.3% of his passes, which is 5th in the NFL. 5th.
Wow.
70.3 is 5th. And you wonder why people just don't say, why don't you just throw the ball on every down? I mean, and it
there actually are. They're called PFF, Pro Football Focus.
Right.
They will tell you to throw the ball. Yeah, they will tell you to throw the ball on every down. Not quite every down, but yeah, there is an element of that. And that's where the game is going. And the run is the change up. And you're right. Like, when I don't know when I was covering it, but certainly when I was, was a conscious football fan, 50%. The guy's got, he's completing 52%. He's a pretty good damn quarterback.
And now if some guy's completing 61%, he's a bum.
Yeah, right?
1985, Joe Montana led the NFL at 61.3.
Right, 60 was a real milestone goal. Yeah, that was something.
Yeah, no, it is amazing. I just think sometimes we forget all the things that are going into what he's doing, and so there's a he is such a compelling figure, and the numbers are so amazing that it's like, okay, let's dive in on this. But I'll give you something else. Like, right? How about this stat I saw? Let me see where I got it on my note sheet. I scroll too many screens open. I'm sorry. How about this stat? Was this from? Zebra Technologies. Okay, I give credit to where I got it. They asked me to quote them if I used it. Travis Kelce averaged 5 yards of separation on his 7 targets.
Well, that sounds pretty good.
Hauled in 5 of the 7 for 65 yards and 2 touchdowns.
That sounds like some pretty good separation. Yeah.
Let's see. It says he averaged 9.9 air yards per target and accounted for basically 42% of the air yards. So bottom line is he was wide open.
And there's so much more of the fact that, hey, this will work when it used to be considered silly. I was watching the beginning of the Broncos-Patriots game last week, and I think the first 5 throws that Drew Lock made were all to wide receivers who were absolutely smothered. But in each case, I think 3 of them were complete. In each case, the receiver did have the better opportunity to catch it. People will throw that ball now when 10 years ago even maybe it would have been considered a disastrous throw. The game-winning throw that Carson Wentz made last night. I mean, unbelievable throw.
Yeah.
I mean, the quarterback, the wide receiver was blanketed.
It's a running back who's 5'6", by the way, and he drops it over the defender.
Right. Exactly, but he knows the defender. He can see the back of the defender's helmet, so he's like, well, that's my guy's got a much better chance. I'm going to do that. And that's another aspect of what makes the passing game what it is, that back shoulder throws. That phrase
the throw
exist.
Mahomes made to Damian Williams for the first touchdown against the Texans last year, and you see the replay from the corner of the end zone. The ball is out of Mahomes' hands, and Williams hasn't even turned around yet.
Right.
He turns around, and it's on his hip. Boom.
Yeah, it is the sophistication that goes on in the modern passing game, and their skill set. They are just listen. Everyone laughs about the hand size. I mean, how important is it? You want to know why they catch everything now? Number 1, they really work at it. Number 2, the glove technology is insane, and number 3, they all have massive mitts. Okay, they've weeded out, the normal human beings. These people are absolutely superhuman. Like, it's just not normal to run full speed, jump up into the air, and then catch a ball with one hand. That's not supposed to happen. But we see it every week now in football.
Absolutely.
I remember, listen, just playing from the crappy level of football that I did. I mean, you know how hard it is I remind people of this because Tony Gonzalez made it look so easy. Do you know how hard it is with a helmet and shoulder pads to catch a ball over your head?
Right.
Like even if you just lobbed a basketball to somebody, put on the helmet and the pads and go do it. Then jump. Then make it a football at 55 miles an hour. And then have a guy hanging on your back. Like, I mean, I think it's just how incredible these guys are at what they do is just completely lost on so many people. And I just, sometimes I'm kind of like, really? Like Tommy Moe, right? Tommy Moe, chronic bitcher, right? Can we agree on that, Curtis?
Yeah, absolutely. Since the
Call
day
it Dave
he was
Tobe. We
born.
rattled off Dave Tobe's special team ranks. Ninth was the lowest. Everything else is fourth, second, third, first, fourth, third for the special team ranks the whole year. He's like, he hadn't been good for 2 years. I'm like, he was number 2 last year, right? We used Football Outsiders. This year they are 26th in special teams. But I'm like, special teams are hard, right? Like if you watch a practice, they don't get that much time. Now, I think Andy Reid gives more time to it than most coaches, which I think the brilliance of Andy Reid is how he gets everything done. And I do think that they were gassed against the Raiders. I don't think they're the best conditioned team, right? But because I think they work on other things. And there's just so many hours in the day. But you watch, like, I remember, like, back in the day when we used to be on the field, right? We're old enough media farts to remember when we could actually stand right on the sideline. And you could hear literally everything every coach was saying. You could get up close to a drill and everything. And, I've cited this a million times because no one ever does it. But every special teams coach will tell you, if you're punting late in the game, right, and you're up, let's say you're up 11, right? And you're at your own 1, and there's 57 seconds. What are you going to do, Danny?
You're going to kick it faster.
Well, or you're going to take a safety, right?
Oh, right. Okay, yes.
And get the free kick, okay? So you want to take a safety. So now, what should every offensive lineman do? They should absolutely tackle whoever they're supposed to block. And they're instructed with this. Right, I've seen it numerous times with numerous special teams coaches. If we're going through the situational coaching, okay, we're punting out of our end zone. We're up on this. We've called for the safety. Punter's going to run around and kill time. Everybody hold. Grab them by the collar, drag them to the ground, because what we want to do is kill the clock. Because, it's a holding penalty in the end zone, which is what? A safety, which is what we're trying to do.
Right.
So everybody hold, because we want to burn as much time as possible. And I'm telling you, every single time you see a team do that, which isn't that often that scenario plays out, they never hold. They never hold. And every special teams coach preaches that. And so I like the game, like there's just so many nuances to the game that everybody with, half a day to think about it has got it all figured out about what people should have done in a split-second reactionary moment. I think sometimes we need to take a moment and be like, the others are good too. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back more with Danny Clinkscale. He's brought to you by our friends at Easton Roofing. Easton Roofing, integrity matters. By the way, also I want to mention Tickets for Less. Got a great special going on right now. Get 15% off your Chiefs tickets by using the code Chiefs15 at ticketsforless.com. Listen, it's limited capacity at Arrowhead right now. You know what that means? Spacious, easy parking, streamlined stadium entry, and much shorter lines inside the stadium. Tickets starting at just $85 to go see the world champion Chiefs. You can get your tickets to the Jets and Panthers games right now. It is the perfect time to take a family out there, right? If you go, socially distance, but easy in, easy out. Tickets for Less has the best tickets around. Find them online at ticketsforless.com or call 913-685-3322.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
We're here with Joe Spiker, the CEO and president of Easton Roofing. What's the difference at this time of year as we head toward the warmer months for homeowners, and what should they be looking at, coronavirus or not?
If you didn't do a good job of home maintenance in the fall, cleaning your gutters out, when we get the spring rains, that can be a real problem. So you want to make sure that you've done a good job on your home maintenance, cleaning your gutters out. We can help with that. I always tell people they never get their roof inspected. They get their furnace inspected once a year, but they never get their roof inspected. And we do the inspection on your roof for free. So you call, you make an appointment, and we'll show up, do the inspection. It's free. You should have your roof looked at once a year. Take advantage of us. And most likely you're fine. And if there's a problem, hopefully we can get out in front of it and save you money in the end.
So for any needs that people have right now, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Well, you can always call us, 913-257-5426. But the best way is to go to eastonroofing.com, put your information in, and we'll give you a call.
Easton Roofing. Integrity matters.
Chiefs have beaten the Broncos 9 straight. Against what team is the Chiefs' longest win streak ever?
Broncos, I think. Didn't they own the Broncos when they were just terrible for a while? Didn't they win a whole bunch in a row against them?
It is the Broncos, 11 straight from 1964 to 1969. They have 2 other 9-game win streaks, one against the Raiders, 03 to 07, and one against the Chargers, 2014 to 18. That one ended with the 2-point conversion game at Arrowhead in 2018.
Yes, good times. Just like Good Sense, good times. Listen, got soccer tomorrow. I'll be swinging by Good Sense. It's our go-to spot. I order it right there with the app on the field. The Good Sense app is the easiest way. It remembers what we want. It's a couple of clicks, and we're swinging by on our way out of the soccer complex to grab some Good Sense. Go to goodsensesubs.com right now. Make sure you're part of that loyalty club. They give you 10% back as well. Founded in Lenexa, Kansas, locally owned and operated. It is your neighborhood Good Sense. Danny Clinkscale's with us. He's brought to you by another great local company, Easton Roofing. Integrity matters at Easton Roofing, commercial and residential jobs. Listen, snow, ice, that's bad news for roofs that are already damaged. Get a free inspection, get a free estimate if necessary on any repairs or a new roof at Easton Roofing. Online at eastonroofing.com or call 913-257-5426. Danny, do you have any fears of the Denver Broncos in this situation?
Fear is a little strong. I think the game is going to be competitive, but also right now it's impossible to tell what the conditions are going to be like. I think it's going to be competitive because I think the Broncos can slow them down. I think the Chiefs will pull away. I don't think they're going to be sitting there sweating it out again, but I think the game could bear some resemblance to last week's game where you really felt all along that the Chiefs were going to win. But, one fumble that could have been and you were in a position to lose the game. I think the Chiefs will probably score a game to separate, score a touchdown to separate. So I'm thinking in the area of 31, 20, or 19, something like that.
I'm thinking more in the neighborhood of 34-10. I think domination. I think we're going to see the fury be unleashed in this one. I think we've been waiting on it, and I think it's coming. And I think I
guess part of my thought, if I'm not having it, sorry to interrupt, is that I thought that was coming last week because after the loss, but it was just a different kind of game. In fact, they probably, in all reality, brought a different kind of fury. So I guess I'm waiting. I'm a little more wary of the fury.
Do you think that have they been caught up to?
I think people are not terrified of them right now, and I think that creates a better scenario when you're playing them. I think that John Harbaugh, for one, should be paying, and hope for his sake, I hope he is, paying close attention to this, because I think that part of the reason that they have handled the Ravens is that the Ravens have played scared against the Chiefs. They're like, we got to go for every fourth down. We got to do this. We got to do, they're not, the Chiefs, you're not a college team playing the Chiefs. You're a good NFL team. Just try to play football. Yes, healthy respect. They're the best team, no question. But it's the NFL. It's not Alabama against Vanderbilt.
I agree. I would differ a little bit. Then why do they basically give the Chiefs a field goal every possession if they're not scared?
I think they're getting less scared, is what I'm saying. That's what I think's happening the last.
Well, and I think okay, that might be, and I think that's when they're going to get blown up. So if the Broncos aren't scared, they're going to get wrecked. Because as soon as somebody, because I look at what the Ravens did in trading for Ngakoue, and what I think is, I say it that way because that's how I got to remember to spell it, Ngakoue, Ngakoue, we. I think that move is because they said they've tried to attack, and come at him, and it's getting worse. Like every time they play the Chiefs, they're getting their ass kicked worse. And they're like, okay, I know we want to dictate the game and play our way, but we have to change how we're playing this guy. And that means stop with the blitzing, get there with 4. Let's get even better up front so we can get there with 4 and drop 7. And I think that move for Ngakoue was made for one game, and that's the next time they play the Chiefs in the playoffs. I think that's what that whole move was about, is they've looked at it and said, okay, this works. It keeps us in the game. The problem is it keeps you in the game, but you still got to get to 30. You know, we pointed out 9 losses, including the playoffs, in the guy's career, and 8 of them, the opposing team scored 31 points or more.
Right, but I think the confidence is coming in a tiny dose in the fact that, last week, 27 would have won the game. So I think that
I disagree from the standpoint that had they needed 28, they would have gotten to 28.
Well, I don't necessarily disagree with you, but what I'm saying, just by the tangible score of the game,
right? I know what you're saying,
right?
But listen, that's the history of the losses on the Chiefs. There's one exception to the rule. 1913, somehow the Colts won last year, and that was with a banged-up Patrick Mahomes and a lot of other injuries for the Kansas City Chiefs. That's clearly not the blueprint. And I keep saying I'm going to go back and watch that game, and I haven't done it. I should probably put it on right now. I've still got the Bills game. We're in the fourth quarter now, Danny, by the way, since you made me start that. I think that right now the Chiefs I think they're going to get better and better at the nickel and dime stuff. Like when I read that on Travis Kelce, like you're taking away the over-the-top stuff, and yet Kelce's 5 yards wide open on average. Like, you're doing a terrible job underneath. And what I think you're going to see is with Le'Veon Bell now, who is really going to be taking up the Darrell Williams snaps, and maybe 5 or 10% of the time that Clyde Edwards-Helaire is out there. It's going to mean, I'm hoping, that Le'Veon Bell still has plenty left in the tank at 28. You're going to be seeing, real threats for underneath. And when they just go up and down the field and then don't give you any time, I think teams are going to have to come out of that, and then we're going to see them start beating people over the top again. I mean, I think it's a sound strategy. I think it's the only strategy you have, but everyone's, hanging their hat on it like it's this brilliant, like, oh, boy, the Chiefs are in trouble. Here it is. Well, they're still not winning with it, because that really wasn't the Raiders' strategy, right? The Raiders' strategy was to score points.
That's true, but their defensive strategy is what the teams have been doing now.
Yeah. I don't know. So tell me real quick, how, and then we'll talk some college football when we come back. How does it end this year for the Chiefs?
I don't see them losing more than one more game, and I think they are going to. They're the favorites to win the Super Bowl, and I wouldn't say that anybody else will. I mean, in an NFL playoff game, things can happen, and
any one game, yeah.
And the Patriots were, under Belichick and Brady, were there for 20 years, and they won 6. They still didn't win 14 times.
Right.
So, however absurd that sounds, but more times than not, they didn't.
More than twice as often as they did, they didn't.
Right.
I would offer you this, though, that this team may very well be more dominant than any Patriot team that Bill Belichick won a championship with. From the standpoint that Bill Belichick always played the long game, and the Chiefs went for it with their roster. They kept everybody. Like, the Patriots would not have Chris Jones. They would have traded Chris Jones a year ago, right? Maybe the Patriots don't win last year because Chris Jones isn't on the roster last year, right? They always played the long game. And, the Chiefs are saying, we've got all the pieces, we're going for it. And it's going to be a little bit leaner the next couple of years. All right, we'll take a break. I know Drake wants us to get out. We'll take a break. More with Danny Clinkscale. He's brought to you by Easton Roofing. Our buddy Joe Spiker. He's taking care of the roof at Danny's house. He's taking care of the roof at my house. Him and his company, fantastic work. Check out their Google reviews. You'll see why. They're the fastest growing company in Kansas City. 913-257-5426. See them online at eastonroofing.com.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
We're here with Joe Spiker, the CEO and president of Easton Roofing. And, Joe, you had a great year in 2019, a record year. 2020 comes, things are moving smoothly along, and then the coronavirus comes. But your company seemed to be very ready, very proactive, and very ready to serve your customers well.
Yeah, we adopted social distancing very early before the cities even put out the notices. And we started working from home. We are largely cloud-based as a company, so that transition was easy. Our technicians are wearing masks and gloves, and salespeople are not meeting with homeowners. We're doing everything digitally and doing everything we can to do our part to get over this as quickly as possible.
So for any needs that people have right now, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Well, you can always call us, 913-257-5426. But the best way is to go to eastonroofing.com, put your information in, and we'll give you a call.
Easton Roofing. Integrity matters.
Danny Klinkskill, and he's brought to you by our friends at Easton Roofing, Joe Spiker's great company. They will be happy to come out, give you a free inspection, a free estimate, and any work that needs to be done. Happy to do repairs. A lot of companies don't want to do that. They're happy to do repairs. No payment collected until you're 100% satisfied. That's how it works with the Easton Roofing. Credit cards accepted, financing available as well. Just call 913-257-5426. See them online at eastonroofing.com. The Sunfeller Showdown, Danny.
Yeah, well, if the team that Charlie Weiss used to coach needs some more fellers, is what the problem is right now. And also, I think they, in some regards, need to find Chris Kleiman. That's what they need to find. They can't keep.
So you've given up on Les Miles.
I didn't say I've given up on him, but I'm getting there. And I don't think that's really the road that, they tried it once, it didn't work. There's too much, like, we have to hire somebody who's going to create some enthusiasm for the program. Now, you got to find somebody who's going to win. Mm-hmm. Win football games. That's what creates enthusiasm for the program.
Well, I hate to say it, but are we at a point where, like, no defensive coach, like, and I know Bill Belichick's side of the ball is defense, but I think he, and same with Bill Parcells, those are guys, though, that they could coach any position group. They literally know football forward and backward. Are we getting to a point, though, that you have to hire offensive guys? Like, it is not as freaking hard as Kansas makes it look to find a quarterback.
No, and I think somebody made the point on this station the other day that when you're losing guys who can be number one, maybe not losing them, I don't even know if they're in on recruiting them, but when North Dakota State is churning out NFL quarterbacks, you're a Big 12 team. You ought to be able to go recruit that guy. I mean, or guys like that. And then when they find a quarterback who is actually, somewhat viable, he goes somewhere else and looks pretty good, like Ryan Willis, or who was the one who went to North Dakota? Didn't somebody go to one of their quarterbacks go to North Dakota State or North Dakota?
What are you talking about? Trey Lance, the kid who's going to be
like one of the Kansas quarterbacks. Ryan Willis went to VCU, and another of their quarterbacks went to Boise.
Well,
Boise.
Yeah. The kid from Liège.
Right. And he
was pretty good at Boise, which speaks to the fact that he wasn't getting coached at Kansas, or there was nothing around him.
Right. Exactly.
Well, so I just
Montel Cozart.
Yes.
Thank you, Montel Cozart. Who texted you? Who texted you?
I just typed Kansas to Boise State QB, and that was the first thing.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. Listen, I just. We talk about how good quarterbacks are, and they are. They're incredible. The NFL quarterbacks are incredible. The college quarterbacks are really good, right? But there's tons and tons of football, tons and tons of good coaching at the grassroots level, and everyone's throwing the ball around. They're out there. And I say this about Missouri's like, well, you're going to pick on us. Like, Missouri has made getting to the Final Four look like it is, scaling Mount Everest. And it's not. Okay, not in athletics, not for a Power 5 school. It is not that to that degree. It's hard. Don't get me wrong. It's hard, but it starts with getting the right coach. And I'm with you. They like this. I think the hires that Jeff Long have made are like Marty Schottenheimer day football, line of scrimmage. Get somebody who can figure out quarterbacks. That's priority number one.
And find somebody who's been a head coach, proved it, but needs to prove something else at a different level. And, that Eli Drinkwitz looks like he's making a good impression at Missouri. Big game for them tomorrow. You've got to be better than Kentucky. You have to be if you're Missouri. And you can't keep losing.
I don't know that you have to be tomorrow, but
no, not necessarily tomorrow, but you have to be better than them in general. So I think a real interesting couple of games tomorrow. Really looking forward to it, and we'll talk about that on College Football Game Day with Stan Weber tomorrow at 9.
Tomorrow at 9, and of course you can catch all of Danny's work at DannyClinkscale.com. He's brought to you by Easton Roofing. Have a great weekend, Danny.
This podcast was made possible by our great sponsors like Easton Roofing, the presenting sponsor of Kansas City Profiles at the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Easton Roofing, where integrity matters. We hope you enjoyed the latest Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Come back soon for something fresh and new.